What is the Upskis, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GXGamerCast. We're on episode 84 of my little gaming show where once a week I just have to talk about video games. I love them so damn much. New games that I'm playing now, old games from my past, it doesn't matter. Video games. If you like video games, you might have a good time here today. And on this episode, we will be doing a modern-ish review / backlog episode on Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, the Soulsborne legendary video game from FromSoft, and one of the few that I have yet to play yet. Now I have done that, so I will be reviewing and talking about my experiences with maybe the hardest video game I have ever gone through moment to moment. It was very difficult, and it's very known for its difficulty. So we'll be talking about the things that kicked my ass, the things that maybe didn't kick my ass. We'll talk about the game. It's going to be a good time. But before we dive into the Sekiro talk, let's talk about what I have been up to over the last week or so. And I always encourage you, the viewer, the listener, what have you been up to over the last week or so? What games are you diving into right now? What TV shows are you binging? And what great movies or bad movies have you seen over the last whatever amount of time? Let me know. I can't have my finger on all the pulses, so I love a good recommendation. And let's talk about what I've been up to over the last week. Still just absolutely addicted to Survivor with my wife. We finished off Survivor season 32, which was Brawn versus Brain versus Beauty. Good season right there. I like that dynamic. Now at this point, this is what, our 4th or 5th season we've watched over the last 5 weeks, so things are I'm starting to see the pattern of the show. It's like, all right, they get this reward this day, that reward that day, they're gonna merge at this point, but every once in a while, they'll throw in a little gimmick here or there, which they did for season 36, which was Ghost Island, which, a fun gimmick, a little bit cheesy, but it was all based on, previous Survivor mistakes, and they had, a whole island dedicated to trying to reverse the curses that have been in Survivor history. That was fun, and it was really fun because the guy that I actually chose to, who I was rooting for all the way through, he actually ended up winning, which was dope. That is an awesome feeling to actually have someone you cheered for early on in the show actually go off and win. I am very bad at picking the people that are going to get eliminated very early. And we started watching Survivor 37 last night, which is David versus Goliath. Very excited about this season because there's a former WWE wrestler in there. Johnny Nitro, Johnny Mundo, John Morrison, he's in there, and my wife and I, we had no idea he was in there. We're huge fans of him, so we're fangirling all over John Morrison right now. Loving it. So we only watched one episode, but really good so far. I am quite excited to watch this season right here, and believe it or not, I watched other things that were not Survivor this week. I started watching Shogun. Oh, buddy, the new show from FX, which, fucking shout out FX, man. They have been putting out a ton of shows that I've been really digging, so well done, FX. And you got another hit here on their hands in Shogun. So I will admit that, I was hearing about this show, people were going insane about it. This is must watch. You have to stop everything you're doing. You must watch this. It's gonna change your life. No, okay. Settle down with that shit. It's really, really good, but is it game-changing? It's not hitting me the same way that, Chernobyl did. That was an incredible show. This is a mini-series. It's just the one season, which is, thank you for that. But dived into 2 episodes so far. Enjoying it. Honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed. It is not, I didn't know anything about it. I just knew it was about the 1600s Sengoku era Japan, and that's exactly what Sekiro is based around. So I'm like, oh, I gotta pair these two up with each other. But so far with Shogun, yeah, there is some violence. One dude just had his head chopped off in half by a katana, just wing for just standing in the way. So that was cool. There's a lot of politics around this. So basically, the old king or whatever, he's dead, and he put the power into the hands of 5 dudes who have to share the power until a kid becomes 16 years old. So obviously, those 5 guys don't want to share power, and there's going to be a whole bunch of political stuff going on. So I'm disappointed with the politics stuff. I fucking hate politics so much. I hate it, hate it, hate it. But Shogun, the atmosphere is spectacular. The look of the show is so there's one character in particular. I'm gonna be really bad with the names because it's in Japan, obviously. They got Japanese speaking, but there's also English, which they're calling Portuguese back then, which is really cool. Anyway, there's a character in there. He's kind of a little bit of a pushover, but I don't know, I really like that dude. This Portuguese British man or whatever, he's like really fucking just a potty mouth and stuff. He's pretty cool, but yeah, I'm digging the show so far. Is it like the show that's going to change your life? It is so good. I don't think so. Like, I'm not seeing it. Watched the first episode, I was like, it's good. Watched the second episode, dozed off a little bit. It was a little boring with the politics stuff, but yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm not gonna put it up there as like maybe it's getting better, but from what I heard, people were saying that this is one of the greatest shows ever created after watching one episode of it, and I'm not getting that, but I am enjoying it. I'm going to continue watching it for sure, mostly for the atmosphere and just samurais and shit like that. I just love that time frame, so it's hitting its mark there, so that's cool. There is a lot of subtitle reading, so if that's not your thing, then there is a lot of that going on. So I've been watching that, and that's all the shows I've been watching. I did get a movie in, watched a movie last night, and that movie was American Fiction. This was a lot of fun. Really good, smart, well-written, well-acted movie right here with a really interesting, funny as fuck premise. Now, it's not a really stupid comedy. It's a comedy movie, but a really smart comedy movie with a lot of fucking really good, funny jokes and just observational humor, stuff like that. But the premise is you got a African-American author who is struggling to sell his books to people because they're a little bit too smart, and then he sees that another black author is having a lot of success kind of writing slop, in his words, like not very good literature, but people are eating it up. And it's just, man, it was had a lot going on with it. Like, to just put it into one genre, like comedy or drama or something, it's got a lot going on in there. Like, it was hella funny. I was giggling, but it wasn't like stupid, crude humor or anything. Like I said, it's like thought-provoking. You got to think about it. They build up these jokes really well. But it's also incredibly sad at parts. There was a 2-minute scene which happened in a flash, incredibly sad, and just an amazing scene. Like, the scene conveys how fast something like that can happen. The blink of an eye, they're gone, or something has completely changed your life, and it can happen that fast. And they did it with that scene. It was so short, but so just impactful. I was blown away by that. The ending was outstanding. I fucking loved the ending. It was so funny and smart and witty, and yes, I really enjoyed the ending. That bumped the score up from, I was probably sitting at a 7 or 7.5. That ending bumped it up to an easy 8. Great movie right here. Not for everybody, don't sit your kid down to watch this one. They're probably not going to get it, but it's just a really interesting look at the world and a different look at African American culture and what they're thinking as well. It's just a really cool movie. Check it out. I really recommend it for, an adult, I would say, an adult movie. But yeah, I really dug it. I like the acting, like the movie, like the story. It was funny and super clever. Yeah, I would recommend American Fiction. I checked that one out on Prime. That was where that one was at, and that's all I've watched this week. Now, in terms of video games, my main squeeze right now is Persona 5 Tactica. Enjoying that game right now quite a bit. It's just kind of simple. It's not like incredibly hard. The strategy is fine. It's, like I said, not too hard, but just the right amount of challenge. Like, there are some of the side quests I find are actually pretty challenging. They'll have some really unique things you got to do to get through. Like, the one I'm struggling with right now, it's like I got to get over to this area in one turn, and it's like way over there, so you got to figure out how to get the one mores and a combo to get you all the way. I'm struggling with that one, so there's a good little bit of challenge there. The story is fine. It's not anything crazy in terms of Persona. It's obviously a tier down from what you're going to have in your Persona games, kind of all across the board. Voice acting solid, music is really good, the graphics are charming, really kind of cartoony, way more of a cartoony art style than your typical Persona. And yeah, the gameplay is fun. It's just that, you know, the thing that I love the most about Persona is like that friend interaction thing, that social interaction, doing things with your time and that time management. None of that is in Persona Tactical. That Tactica, it's all replaced with Tactica stuff, you know, turn-based action RPG kind of deal, or sorry, strategy RPG. But I'm digging it, really digging it. Just a nice, simple game to play. I can listen to a podcast, and yeah, that's been going really well. I'm still playing some NHL24. You know, I'm already feeling like, I don't want to play this. Like, I'm wasting my time. This is the exact same game that I've played for the last 15 years. There is literally nothing that has changed with the GM mode that I can tell, and I've played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of GM mode, so trust me on this, you're not missing anything new in terms of NHL 24 GM mode. Still haven't even tried like playing an actual hockey game yet. I think I may try, but I think my time with NHL's coming to an end here. I'm going to try and win a Stanley Cup with these Calgary Flames, not going very well, but the show, MLB The Show came out, kind of interested in that. I really want to play NBA, but it's such a big game. I can't fit it on anything. So they're like, yeah, you got 8,000 gigabytes to play NBA, right? It's like, no. Anyway, NHL 24, it's a very mediocre hockey game. I wish they were we deserve so much better than this. It's just, yeah, mediocre. Can't really say much more than that. Forza Motorsport, just still a good racer, still putting along, nothing more to add to that. And Balatro, still playing myself some good old Balatro. Got myself a nice win last night. Oh my god, bro, I had this fucking run going. I was literally getting scores. I was getting $1.2 million hands. Like, that is, in my books, that's insane. I've never had hands that high. My previous biggest hand was 92,000, and I broke that with a 1.2 million. It's all about those times multipliers, baby. Get those times multipliers instead of the pluses. You'll start winning in no time. And I am actually still playing Sekiro. I'm not done with this game yet. I have beaten it, but there's still more to do. There was a couple of bosses, endgame bosses I went to go play with, and I am very strongly considering starting up my second playthrough of Sekiro. Now, I am very on the fence if I do or do not want to do this. I am looking at the platinum, and you know, it has like 11% on it, which is shockingly high for a Souls game. Now, my on the fence debate is the last time I platinum Souls game was Demon Souls, and it completely ruined that game for me. I will never touch it again. I have no desires to ever play that game again. It made me hate the video game because it forces you to play through it 4 times. I dealt with glitches that ruined it. I had to go through a whole extra playthrough, and yeah, I don't know if I want to do that with Sekiro. It was a very tough game. I am thinking of bosses right now that it's like, I don't know if I ever want to have to fight those guys again, but I want to at least go through it and, you know, just play through the second round and until I get to another wall or something. I just want to see how much better I am now after going through the game, and let's go through the beginning, those early challenges that I faced, and I want to see if I can just mow down people and have that experiences. And there's a couple things I want to finish off, but yeah, really shocked at how many of you out there have gotten the platinum for Sekiro. I know a couple of people that have done it. Fucking congratulations. I don't think I want to do that to myself. That would be immensely torturous. So, but I'm still playing through Sekiro. It's incredibly fun, and I'm having a hard time putting it down and moving on to another game. So with that being said, let's dive into this review and retrospective sort of situation. Let's talk about Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Ew, God, that music just creeps the hell out of me. If you know whose music that is, then it probably brings back a lot of horrific memories for you. Am I right? So, what the hell is Sekiro, you might be asking? Well, it's just another of the latest torturous devices from FromSoft, and yes, it may be the toughest one I have gone through yet. The only one I haven't played is Dark Souls 2, and I feel like I am fairly justified in not playing that one just yet. I own it, and I will get to it someday, but I am saving it for last, I guess. And this one scared the hell out of me for years. I've seen some of the bosses in this game, and I was like, there's no fucking way I'm gonna beat some of these guys, and somehow I did, okay? Somehow I did. I got through this game, but it was not easy, as is most of the FromSoft games. They're known to not be very easy, but what makes this one different from the other ones? Well, this isn't that different. It is a third-person action adventure-ish game, so that's staying the same, but this one takes place in the Sengoku era of Japan, like the 1600s. You got samurais, you got ninjas, you got shinobi, which is what we are. We are a shinobi. We go by a few names: the White Wolf, a Sekiro, and yeah, so that is awesome. You are essentially you're a shinobi, and you have these sort of special abilities that allow you to come back from the dead. So whenever you die, in Souls-like fashion, you can come back. You deal with a little bit of a penalty of losing some money and experience, but there are some major differences between this game and your typical Souls game. So let's start off with the posture system. So the posture system, instead of, like, your enemies will have a health bar, but they also have a posture bar. And a posture bar is you attack an enemy. If they block it with their sword, their posture meter will start building up. And if you fill up their posture meter, you break through their defense and you can nail them with a death blow, which more often than not will kill them immediately. So that is a big difference right there. We also aren't dealing with the stamina anymore. You're allowed to swing your katana. You're allowed to swing that weapon as much as you want. You can jump, dodge, roll, do all that stuff as much as you want. You can sprint run. You can jump. Yeah, there's a lot of that. So I think Elden Ring is the only other Souls game where you're allowed to jump. There's no jumping in Dark Souls. There's no jumping in Bloodborne. But jumping is a big thing in Sekiro. That is a major part of the gameplay, is jumping, because you get this prosthetic arm, which I know it's a little bit overblown these days, where you have your arm gets cut off and it gets replaced with a much better, fancier arm that can do a whole bunch of wicked stuff. So yes, early in the game, they give you a very difficult boss fight to try and win. You're 99% of the time going to die. It's supposed to happen, and your arm gets cut off, and it gets replaced with the prosthetic arm, which is pretty dope. It's pretty dope. So the main gameplay mechanic you're going to get out of this prosthetic arm is you're going to be able to hook. What are those things called? A hook shot. You can hook onto stuff and whip around, whip up to trees, up cliff sides, and stuff like that. You can even use it in combat. You can hit a person with your grapple hook, there it is, and you can run into them and attack them and stuff. I didn't use it like that, but yeah, using this thing to jump onto trees, it's pretty useful. And not only can you use it to be jumping around on shit, there's a whole bunch of attachments you get to find throughout the game and use them, upgrade them, and they're pretty great. There's a whole bunch of these add-ons that you can find throughout the game. You've got the umbrella, which allows you to block certain projectiles that are thrown at you. You've got the firecrackers, which those things are incredible. You just throw a big old thing of firecrackers on the ground, and it'll just fuck up a beast that you're fighting, and it'll give you an opportunity to get in some attacks. You have a flamethrower, you got ninja stars, you got a fucking finger which can whistle and it'll stun people. You get fans that can literally send people to the afterlife in the flip of a fucking fan or whatever, it doesn't matter. You get a lot of really cool side attachments in this game, and like I said, you can upgrade them to different kinds. With the umbrella, for example, you can get different kinds of umbrellas. One's all about fire. It can absorb all the fire damage. One is like a purple one, and it can deal with all this like ghost shit. So yeah, you get a lot of these things, and it adds in a lot of strategy and ways to get through this game. There's a lot of different ways that you can take down bosses, some better strategies than others, absolutely. But yeah, the prosthetic arm, that is definitely something you are getting that is much different than your Souls-like games. Now, I know Liza P has a very similar situation with it, but that's not a FromSoft game, so there is that. So we talked about the posture system, and when you break through their posture system, you can hit them with death blows. So death blows it's exactly what it is. If you can hit one, you're gonna kill your person. But in terms of boss fights, this is where you get a little bit of a change here as well. So, you know, that big, long, iconic health bar that we always get for your boss fights, that's essentially gone now, and that is replaced by death blow bars, I guess. I don't know, like little red circles, and bosses will have 1, 2, sometimes 3. I think even some of them have 4 of these, and that means you got to hit them with 1, 2, 3 death blows before they go down for good. And it's trickier than it sounds to get through the posture bars. All the enemies are different. You know, some guys are really good with their posture, and very rarely, there are some very rare fights where you actually have to whittle down their health bar instead of the posture bar, because the posture bar, you're just not going to be able to fill it up. So in very rare cases, you actually do have to whittle down their health bar, but like I said, that's very rare. More often than not, you're just trying to break through their posture and hit them with a death blow. So the big thing that I find a lot of people have trouble with when coming from a FromSoft game, you know, coming from a Dark Souls, coming from a Bloodborne, and then trying to play Sekiro, it's a different style. It's a very different style. So with Bloodborne, it's a dodge-heavy parry. You want to be quick and fast, aggressive, and that was a completely different shift from Dark Souls, which is a slow dodge, you know, take your time, slow swings, and stuff like that. More of a grind defensive style. And then you have Sekiro, which is like barely dodge. Like dodging is not as good as it is in other like Bloodborns and stuff. Like you have the iframes, but dodging isn't like the way to get through Sekiro. You need to be good at parrying, you need to be good at your counters, and you gotta be fucking hemmed in, man. You gotta learn these patterns, you gotta learn where the sword strikes are coming, how fast, how often, and yeah, man, there's certain strikes that you can't counter. They'll have like a little red emblem atop of them. Some you can counter in special ways, but for the most part they're uncounterable, and you just gotta kind of get out of the way of them. But yeah, it's a different play style than your usual Souls-like game. And I knew that very much so coming in. I'm like, I'm not gonna play it like a Bloodborne. I'm not gonna go crazy. I'm gonna learn the way that the game wants me to learn, and it's different. It is different. There's also stealth in this game. It's very minor stealth, I guess, in the Souls game. Like, you could sneak up on a handful of enemies, give them the visceral, and kill them immediately. But yeah, there is definitely more emphasis on stealth. It's going to help you out a lot. Like, if you can go through an area and pick them off stealthily, that is way more encouraged than going in there swords a-swinging. You're going to have a better time if you can take them out quietly, because there's usually going to be a lot of enemies around. And yes, you are a shinobi. You want to play as a shinobi. You want to be sneaky. You want to you play dirty if you have to. It doesn't matter. Just kill and don't be killed. That is the important thing. So we talked about Resurrection. Resurrection plays a major role in the story and everything like that in this game. I'll slightly touch on the story. I'm not great at the stories with these FromSoft games because they're very lore-based. And I'm getting into the lore now. Thank you very much, VatiVidya. That is the homie. Whenever you need lore, go check out VatiVidya on YouTube. But yeah, the story basically is you're tasked with defending a child, and then the child has his own plans, and you have to decide whether to help out the child with basically your decision. It comes down to, do we want immortality to continue being a thing in this world, or do we want to put an end to this curse? So that is essentially very minor idea of what the story is going on with. So with this resurrection, that is part of the power that you have, is when you die, you can come back to life. Which, I mean, fuck, wouldn't that have been helpful in the Dark Souls games and Bloodborne and stuff? When you die in those games, you're dead, and you go back to the fire or wherever, and you can go back out and try and find where your dead body is and get your stuff back. A little bit different here in Sekiro. So if you die out there, you're in the middle of a boss fight, they fucking cut your head off. Well, not cut your head off, but they kill you. You can resurrect and come back and try again. Now, you can do this multiple times. There are certain items that will replenish your resurrection if you die. They're rare and expensive, hard to find, so there's not too many of those. And you can also refill it if you happen to kill enough enemies. You can refill the bar and get another one. So, say this boss fight I'm fighting, he has like some goofs around him. I take out some of, or I die. I come back, I take out 2 of his guys, I get my resurrection back, the boss kills me, and I can come back again. So, I think at maximum, I think maybe I've come back 3 times in one life, which doesn't happen very often, but yeah, it's useful. The enemies will, sometimes they'll just be like, oh, he's dead, and they'll just walk away, and you can come back and just stab him in the back. But for the most part, they're pretty cautious of you. They're like, oh, this motherfucker's probably gonna get back up, and you do. So you can get back up. Really cool power. I really enjoy that. Now, when it comes to actually dying, you don't get to go back out and try and find your dead body and get your shit back. That not in this one. So you'll lose, if you die, you'll lose probably 50% of your money, and you'll lose some of your experience. And you gain experience obviously by killing enemies, and you can level up with your classic fucking skill board, and you can pick your skills, and you can have these different techniques. You can have, things I was more focused on was like the passive abilities, where like my healing is giving me more healing, or I'm getting more money from enemies. But there are definitely certain abilities in the game that are game changers, absolute game changers. One for me that was able to get me through the last boss fight was I was able to combine my umbrella, and whenever I pulled out my umbrella and blocked an attack with it, I can like shoot out a counterattack with it, and that literally won me the fight against the final boss in this game. And we'll be spending some time with that final boss. Don't you frickin' worry about it. So the resurrection mechanics, similar but not quite the same. It's I actually like it this way, where I get a chance to come back and get back in there. I think that would have been an awesome mechanic for Bloodborne to add into that aggressive gameplay that Bloodborne has. I think that would have been really cool. But yeah, man, I really dig the resurrection in this game. That is cool. And that is just about all the major differences that you're going to have in Sekiro. And it comes out as a completely different game. It's very impressive what FromSoft was able to do with just a little twist here and there, and you get this completely different style of game, and it's really neat. Some other things with the gameplay that they have items, a whole bunch of items, just like their Dark Souls game, that'll help you out throughout your gameplay, and they have a lot of these like candies, different kind of candies you can chew on, and they'll give you nice bonuses, rather you deal out more damage, you take less posture damage, you have what other ones? There's one that'll like half your health, and you do like major damage and stuff like that. You got certain items that are made for special enemies. You got something called confetti, which helps you fight off like ghostly entities that you'll be facing off with in Sekiro. Those are neat. And yeah, man, that's essentially, like I said, that is basically your differences in gameplay. Even like the whole kind of design of the game is very similar to a Demon Souls and a Dark Souls. You'll be going to these areas and you're just working your way to the next, we'll just call them bonfires. I forget what they are in here, but you'll get to your little bonfires, different like checkpoints to the game. Getting further, you'll fight a mini boss, a boss, and stuff like that. Very similar, and it's not linear. You'll be going from this area, you might hit a roadblock, you're like, all right, this guy's kicking my ass, I'm gonna go look over in this area for a little bit, and then you move down that way for a little while until you run into a wall. And that reminded me of how Demon Souls was going. Demon Souls, you go to the hub and there's like 5 or 6 portals and you just kind of go into them, and they'll have like little areas, but you can't necessarily just go from, do Portal 1, do all the levels there, go to Portal 2, do all the levels there. No. In Demon Souls, like, okay, Portal 1, Part 1 and 2, and then Portal 3, Part 1 and 2, and then back to 1, finish 3, shit like that. So I found with Sekiro I was going all over the place, and they didn't do, like, the greatest job at, like, letting me know where I'm supposed to go. It was, at times it could be a little bit cryptic. Sometimes it could be like, oh, go follow the fires or the smoke that are on the roofs, and you're just like hopping on the roofs and you're fucking just like following this path. You're like, oh, okay. But yeah, there was a handful of times where I was like, okay, I don't know where I'm supposed to go, and that was rather me not listening well enough. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you could get lost. Like I said, a couple of times where I was like, all right, I really am stumped here. I don't know where to go next, and I would have to look it up. And I should throw that out here right now. I started playing Demon Souls, when it first came out in 2009. And I tried that game blind. It kicked my ass. I didn't get very far in it. And I moved on. I couldn't beat it. And I was like, all right, it's just too hard. Dark Souls came out, did the same thing. I bought it, started playing it with no guide, got my ass kicked, and didn't get very far and put it down. So by the time Bloodborne came out, I was pretty like, all right, these games are too hard for me, I can't do it. But I tried out Bloodborne, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it with a guide, and it made me fall in love with these games. Once I understood how to play them, had a professional basically walk me through the game and show me all the tricks and the traits of these games, then I got it. I did use a lot of guides. I used guides for Dark Souls 1, 3, but it was Elden Ring. That's where I started playing them blind. I did Elden Ring blind, and I did Sekiro blind. No guide, no fighting cowboy to walk me through the game, holding my hand. I went in blind, and it was extremely challenging. It was very challenging not having the professional telling me how to beat the game, but I will admit that I did cheese parts of this game, absolutely, and I will admit it when I get to those parts. I will tell you if I cheese something or if I beat it legitimately. I am not ashamed of it. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to beat these games, and if fucking FromSoft is gonna be throwing these crazy 4-stage boss fights at me, I'm gonna be playing dirty too, baby. So let's talk about, before we get into some of the fun moments, or some not so fun moments that I dealt with in the game, let's kind of talk about the simple stuff, the graphics and the sound and everything. It's a beautiful looking game. Now, for some reason, I still think that Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne are my preferred games in terms of the style and the art direction. Bloodborne is just a breathtaking game. It is so beautiful. I love that art style and the look of it. Dark Souls 3 just blew me away. I just, all the time that game would just make my jaw drop, and it's just a beautiful looking game. I think the lighting is just so gorgeous, and my goodness, but Sekiro, no slouch in the graphics department either. A gorgeous game taking place in maybe my favorite type of setting, just old school Japan with the fucking cherry blossoms and the pagodas, and oh, I just love the old school Japanese architecture, and it's just everywhere, baby. It's everywhere. It is so beautiful, the setting. And by far my favorite place in the game is Fountainhead. Oh my god, that area is just stunning. This just massive, like, watery area with beautiful cherry blossoms everywhere, and this massive fucking Japanese structure. It is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. And you get your other areas too, of course. There's forests, you got your caves, you got the depths, you got snowy peaks, you got a little bit of everything here in Sekiro. Very nice looking game. You got the bamboo trees, man. Yeah, I really enjoyed the way that this game looks. I love the setting. I think they nailed it. Beautiful game. Absolutely stunning. In terms of sound design, the sound design is fucking fantastic. The swords sound so freaking good when you hit a perfect counter and the swords go clang and you just swing and you just shove the sword in there and you rip it out of them and the blood goes just spraying all over the place. It is artistic. It is beautiful. I love it. I cannot get enough of it. It is so good. I love it. The sound of the swords is so fucking good. So good. And I love that the default setting for the game is to have the game voiced over in Japanese, the way that it was meant to be. You're in Japanese, you're playing with Japanese people, and yeah, it makes a lot of sense that they're talking Japanese. And I left it that way. You can change it, you can have them talking English. I was actually planning on having it play through it in English on my second playthrough, just so I can, if things went over my head, like sometimes I read things but they're not like sticking, I'm just reading to say that I read it and I didn't even process the information. But yeah, especially when it comes to like the VaatiVidya lore videos on YouTube, they're in English, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's really cool. And the English voice acting sounded fine. I just love the Japanese language. I think it is so fucking cool sounding. Like, oh, it just, the passion, and I don't know, man, if there was one language that if a genie said, hey, you can learn a language like that, which one do you want? I'm picking Japanese, and it's not even a second thought. Like, it's Japanese 100%. So that was really cool. And of course the music, Jesus Christ, the music, super fucking good. Now, the only thing about the music, it's not even really a knock, it's just that I didn't get like that super over the top, like crazy operatic, epic, huge in scale, like music with these big boss fights. Now, the music with the boss fights were excellent. I don't know, you weren't hearing like those, like the choirs going, oh, 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 in the back and shit. It wasn't really doing that, but it has like that Japanese sounds. It's got those sounds, the flutes, the little, that guitar that they nail it, man. They absolutely nail it with the music. And the second song that I played there, it's even got a little bit of haunting music to it. The game, it's not a horror game, but there are some fucking unsettling moments in this game. There is an enemy called Headless. That thing is kind of terrifying. There's a giant fucking snake in this game. That can be kind of terrifying for people as well. But yeah, the music, especially during that fight, and the creature that you're fighting, it makes it a little bit scary there, just a little bit. So I really like the music. And actually, with the scary thing, when you're fighting Headless, like, that music is chilling, man. When you find your first Headless, you're like, what the fuck is that thing? And then it disappears and turns out behind you and grabs your asshole and rips it out of you. Whoa, you get a little bit freaked out. But the music in Sekiro is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. All right, so we've gone through the boring stuff. Let's get into the fun stuff. Let's talk about the bosses. Let's talk about who kicked my ass, whose asses I kicked, and let's talk about some of the cheese that I did in this game. So, we'll start off with the giant snake. Goddamn. So, I know about the snake. You know, I've watched a handful of boss ranking videos for Sekiro, and the snake is generally at the bottom, not because it's a bad boss fight or anything. It's just that it's not like a typical boss fight. It's kind of it's like a puzzle boss fight, a stealth puzzle boss fight, if you will. So you got this ginormous snake, huge fucking snake, and it will kill you immediately if it sees you. So you need to sneak around in the grass, and it's an early kind of tutorial to teach you these stealth mechanics and how they work. The moment in particular that like actually made me like feel really tight butthole, and the snake is like, it's coming over to you, and you're against the pillar, and you're like sliding across it as the snake is coming around. You're just like, I was like, oh god. And you even had like a Lord of the Rings moment where like the snake is above you and its head is like right there, and you're fucking sliding on a cliff underneath it, and you're like, oh god, please don't, how do you not see me? And killing the snake was really cool. There's like 3 different moments that I had with the snake, like attacking it. Like, one, you have to like hide in this little carriage and you stab it in the eye. Another one, I jumped off like a fucking 200-foot cliff and just stabbed it right in the head. I found it again in a cave where I had to like take mind control a monkey to go distract it, and like, wild, man. That snake was fucking cool. It was badass, and it was pretty intimidating when it first showed up. I'm like, whoa, okay, I wasn't expecting it to show up this early, but there it was, and it was cool. So now we get to the first major boss fight of the game, and that is Gyobu Aniwa, big dude on the horse. I remember when this game came out, this guy was like the first wall for a lot of people. They're like, this guy's insane, I can't beat him, he's too damn hard. I did beat him first try, just saying. He wasn't too bad. He was actually really fun. I thought the arena was dope, just this big fucking huge like battlefield, and he comes riding in on his massive horse and this massive fucking spear he's swinging around. And yeah, I didn't find him too hard. He was a good first test of a boss. Now, I can see it being difficult for someone who this is their first FromSoft game, like, oh yeah, this dude would fuck you up, but kept my distance, I kept patient, I blocked appropriately, and he went down pretty easily. I really liked this fight. It was really sad at the end when his little horse comes over and checks on his dead master. Oh god, that just broke my heart a little bit. Oh man, I didn't even write this guy's name down, but this dude may be in the top 3 for killing me the most in this game, and he wasn't even a main boss or anything. He was like a mini tutorial boss who was supposed to teach you how to do Mikiri counters, and a Mikiri counter is if you hit the circle button at the right time when someone attacks you with an undodgeable spear attack, if you hit the circle button at them the right time, you'll step on their spear and you'll counter it and you'll hit their posture meter for a good chunk of damage. And I guess I wasn't paying attention when that tutorial popped up because I didn't learn how to do a Mikiri counter until the final fight of the game. So yeah, so if Sekiro players that I'm an idiot. I'm an absolute idiot. I just did not understand the Mikiri counter, and this fucking asshole with the spear killed me like 30 fucking times, man. And I couldn't figure it out. Like I just couldn't get the range. He killed me so many times. It was fucking embarrassing. Like I heard, like I've read on the forums that other people have had a lot of problems with this guy, and mostly like people are complaining about the Mikiri counter and it doesn't work. I understand where that might be coming from. It's a little tricky. It is definitely a tricky counter to pull off. It's not as easy as your just regular counters. And now that I'm talking about counter, I have to bring this up. So if anyone listened to my Metal Gear Rising review a couple of weeks ago, my big problem with their counter is that it was like a 2-button system where I had to hit the shoulder button and I had to hit the analog stick towards the attack, which made it way more difficult. In Sekiro, it's just 1 button and it's clean, it's beautiful, it works 99.9% of the time. I never really had a problem with my regular counters. The Mikiri counter, like, slightly less responsive as your typical counter. But once I learned how to do it and I understood it, I was hitting it like 9 times out of 10. So I can understand where people are coming from with the Mikiri counter not working to their liking, because it's not as easy as a typical regular counter. But I found that it did work. I just sucked and didn't understand it. So that is why that spear person kicked the shit out of me. And that dude was making me early on being like, should I be doing this? Do I want to do this? This is hard. And that dude was a pain in the ass to get to because he had like a whole bunch of enemies around him that every time I died, I had to go back and take out all the dudes, fucking go at the dude with the spear, get my ass kicked, and fucking run off again and again and again. And this is like me early in the game. I still don't know, how to sneak up on people great. I don't know which ones I can and cannot sneak up on. So, and that's a big thing, right? Like if you're coming up to a mini boss, I think even there's no way, but mini bosses at least, you can sneak up on most of them and get a instant death blow on them right away, and that'll make the fight so much easier. But yeah, I couldn't with that dude. That dude fucked me up big time. Next guy that fucked me up pretty good was the armored knight on the wooden bridge. Holy shit, that guy was intense. First fucking the millisecond I saw that bridge, I'm like, there's gonna be a fight on that bridge the second I step on it, and bam, you take a step on that bridge, fucking here comes the 9-foot knight with this ginormous sword just going fucking crazy on you. But this fight was so cool. I love this fight. It does suck that you're fighting this big dude with a big weapon on kind of a little wooden bridge, but the bridge makes it so much more epic because he's sitting there fucking swinging this big sword. He's like missing, and he's just like smashing like walls off of the wooden bridge. Like wooden planks are flying all over the place. I'm like, holy shit, like this is crazy. I love when the battlefield is a part of the fight, like it's falling apart. It's awesome. And then the way that this dude died, I was fucking losing it. Like, not only did he kick my ass like 10-15 times, when I finally got him down and he falls off of the bridge, I thought that was a glitch. I thought I he just accidentally fell off the bridge and I fucking won. I was like, yes! But I think that was supposed to happen. He falls off the bridge regardless, but that fight was fucking sick. That was such a cool fight, one of my favorites in the game. Now we get to one that was very difficult for a lot of people. I didn't find her too bad, but it was, I couldn't get over how cool she was, and that's Lady Butterfly. Lady Butterfly, holy fuck. Awesome arena that you're fighting her in, just this freaking big room that's on fire, and it's just, oh, it's so cool. And Lady Butterfly, my god. So she's like this little old lady, and she is so badass, bro. She is flying all over this room, and she's got these little wires all over the place, and she's hopping on the wires, fucking throwing shit at you. It is a hell of a fight. She is hard. She's hopping all over the place. I found it to be a really fun, challenging fight. One of my highest rated fights. I really did like this. Took me 4 tries to take her down. I feel like I got a little bit lucky. I didn't like when they added like those spirits that come in to fight. I hate when bosses do that. They just add, oh, here's some more people to deal with. I hate that, but she was really cool, man. That just the setting, how she fights, one of my favorites for sure. Oh god. So these next 2 guys are in the exact same area. I think it's Ashina Reservoir. They're both here, and oh my god, did these guys give me trouble. Holy shit. Again, mainly because I didn't know how to use the Makiri counter properly, but the, what's his name? I have it here. The 7 Ashina Spear guy. Holy fuck. So this is another one where he is just surrounded by people. You got to clear out a whole fucking like 7 or 8 guys, 2 giants, and like, yeah, you got to clear all that out before you even fucking go after this guy, because there's no way you're gonna have a chance against him with any of the people behind you coming after you as well. So that was super annoying. I had to go clear out that fucking area dozens of times just to get a chance at this fucking asshole sitting his ass up there with his big stupid spear that I could never get out of the way of. And oh my god, that guy just slaughtered me. Now that's the one that, like, when I get to the second playthrough, I want to get to this guy. Now that I know how to do Makiri counters pretty good, I want to kick the fucking shit out of this guy, because this dude, holy fuck, did he ever beat the shit out of me. Even when I'd sneak up behind him and get a free death blow on him, it still took me a while to take this guy down. I was going at him with, I didn't have a lot of health, I didn't have a lot of power. You can upgrade your, not like how you do in Dark Souls and Demon Souls, but you can upgrade your health and your attack power. You'll find seeds in the game that will give you more health uses, very similar to your flask. You can upgrade the flask. You can upgrade your gourd pouch, I think it's called, its health. And when you beat particularly tough enemies, they'll give you a bead, and if you collect 4 beads, you can make a necklace and it'll give you more attack power. And when you beat the big bosses in the game, you can confront their memories, and you'll gain power from thinking about them, I guess. That's how that works. And also, really cool, you can refight any of the main bosses whenever you want. You go to a bonfire thing, and they're just listed there. You can go take on fucking whatever boss. You want to fight Lady Butterfly again for some reason? Go ahead. You want to fight Ishin again? Go ahead. I will never fight that fucking guy again. All right, moving on. Not moving on. Still, the other guy that fucked me up in that area. This was the only fight that I found was not designed very well. So in that same area, the Lone Shadow Long Swordsman, this guy's a fuck. And which really pisses me off, because this guy is just a regular enemy later on in the game. But down here, he's just fucking in this little cave. And this guy, oh my god, he's so annoying. He like knows kung fu and shit, and he's got a sword, so he's like throwing these punches and kicks at you and fast sword swipes, and you're in this little fucking cave, and the camera in that cave was just the end of me. I die so many times because he's flying all over the place, the camera gets lost, and bam, I'm dead instant. Like, there's really no room for fucking error with Sekiro. You make a mistake, you're probably dead. And yeah, that was the only fight in this game that I had. It was hard for the wrong reasons. Like, it was too difficult because I'm in this small area with a camera that's just fucking with me. And yeah, that was a very unpleasant fight. I did not like that fight at all. It took me a whole bunch of attempts to do it, and I just had to get lucky. Okay, let's talk about some scary shit. I did get myself scared a couple of times in this game. So we talked about Headless. Headless is terrifying. Terrifying boss. There's like, I think 4 or 5 of them in the game. There's a couple of bosses that have repeats. There's like the Shishiman Warrior or something. That fucker's around a couple of spots. But the Headless, there's I think 5, like I said. And they're freaky as shit, man. Like when I saw them, they're not fun to fight. When you get near them, they have this like kind of like a ghostly smoke, and when you get into it, you can't move fast anymore, and the thing's already moving really slow. And if it has this grab attack, if it grabs you, it kills you instantly, it just rips your insides out. It's got a really odd attack pattern that's just really like sweeping and winding, very slow. Like it is crazy how slow this fucker moves. But yeah, it's really creepy enemy. It's got some creepy lore behind it. And the one that really caught me off guard was the 2 of them that were underwater. I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing down here? I'm just like way down in the depths of this lake, and I was like, what is that down there? And I went near it, and it was a fucking Headless. And he had a friend over there, and I was like, what the fuck is going on down here? This is crazy. Though those dudes were freaky, but by far the biggest scare in this game, holy shit. I think it's in Ashina Castle when you're climbing up on the roofs, and they have those like little rat enemy dudes. Holy shit. I finally got to the top of this fucking place, and I'm just walking, and all I hear is like from the distance just like, and I was like, what the? And just a dude attacked me from out of nowhere, scared the fucking shit out of me, like 11 out of 10 scared. And I found out that it was a fucking enemy who had himself attached to a parachute or a kite way up in the sky, and he jumped off it and fucking assassinated me. I was like, that was the scariest thing. That was so unnecessarily scary. Why? And I had no idea what was going on. Like, it reminded me of the... What's his name in Elden Ring? Ramad or something? I don't know. He turns into a comet mid-fight, and he just goes into the sky and just fucking slams into you. And I was like, is that coming for me? And right when I said that, bam, I got nailed with the freaking comet. But yeah, that was absolutely terrifying and unnecessary, FromSoft. How dare you? And speaking of how dare you, it's not a FromSoft game if they don't have a crappy poison swamp area. Ugh. Oh, that place sucks so fucking much. I hated this area because it was surrounded with these asshole gunmen that have the eyes of fucking an eagle. Like, these dudes will spot you and snipe your ass with a cannon from fucking 3,000 feet away. It is crazy. And then that little slut down there, that Shirigaka eye chick, or what, a snake eye bitch, that bitch can go straight to fucking hell. Oh my god, she killed me so many times. She was so hard. Like, not like she's like surrounded with gunmen. So what I did to get through her is there's like there's a bonfire right there. So I went to that one, snuck across the swamp, grabbed her 2 dudes that were sitting there, killed them. I would go aggro her, bring her over to me, and then I'd make her stand in the swamp. She got poisoned, and I made her poison herself, and she died. That's how I beat her. Fuck you. You're gonna send a poison swamp at me, FromSoft? I'm gonna use your own poison swamp to kill your enemies. Suck me. So that was pretty fucking satisfying. I did try and fight her legit. She was just a bitch. So I would try, there's like a little cave where she's standing at, and I'd try and fight her in there because it wouldn't aggro the fucking snipers on the other side, and they'd be shooting cannonballs at you, which is just not pleasant. So, and she's got a grab attack, and she'll pull you in and blast you with that cannon, basically kill you instantly. She sucked. I fucking hated that bitch. So yeah, I cheesed her ass and killed her with her own poison swamp. Oh boy, up next we got Ganishiro. I freaking love this fight. At least the first fight anyway. Just a epic duel in a really odd, like you're up in it almost looks like a little training like area where you're attacking, where you fight each other with the little wooden sticks or whatever, but you have this epic battle with Genichiro up there, and he was a really fun fight. I beat him first try, so yeah, obviously I'm gonna like that fight. I thought it was pretty good. The second time we fight him, not so much fun. We'll get there when we get there. But first, we gotta talk about this long-armed scissor hand dude. What the fucking fuck was that guy's problem? Oh my god. This dude was insane. The first time I walked into this guy and he killed me, like, he has these 2 insanely long scissor fucking sword hands, and he just lays into you with an unstoppable combo. It's just wham, 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 and then he just rolls right into it again. So the way that I can beat him, you got to use the candy that gives you the posture help, and you can outlast his big combo attack, block him, and then attack him. You'll be able to take him out easy. But Jesus Christ, that guy was just, when he killed me, I was like, are you fucking serious? How am I gonna deal with that fucking guy? Thankfully, I figured it out. There's a couple of them. There's another one who has like a whole bunch of little scissor hand dudes around him. That one was pretty tricky as well, but that guy can go to hell. You better be good at parrying if you're gonna take that guy out. Now let's talk about monkeys. The little monkeys. Not the guardian ape, but the little monkeys. There was one wearing a little hat, and he shot me with a gun. That's a 10 out of 10 right there, everybody. Holy shit. That was the cutest little thing. Like, this little adorable monkey popped down in front of me. I'm like, aw, he's got a little hat on, and then he pulled out a gun and he shot me. I can't believe that. Unbelievable. So yeah, there's monkeys in this game, and we get to the boss that I was looking the most forward to. This is the boss that scared me away from the game, and that boss is the guardian ape. Oh my god. Since the minute I started this game, I was like, oh, I cannot wait to get to this fucking monkey. I want to see what this monkey's all about. I've heard so much about this goddamn guardian ape, and when I finally saw him, oh my god, I got so many chills. I got so excited. This boss is so fucking cool. Oh my god, man. This thing is so fun. So it's got to be maybe FromSoft's most iconic boss. Like, this thing's just so cool. So it's this ginormous white monkey, terrifying looking, and it's got a really unique moveset. It will shit in its hand, and it'll lob a big old piece of shit at you. It will fart this poisonous gas out at you, and oh my god, man, it'll throw like little temper tantrums throughout the fight. It is awesome. I love this fight. It might be my favorite one. It's just in just all around terms, in terms of design, the look of the thing, the way it acts, the big epic battlefield that you're in. It is just fantastic. The only thing that brings it down is the second half of the fight. Now, it is giving us one of the most iconic boss second half phases ever made. It hook, line, and sinkers you so good. Like, the first half of this fight is incredibly hard. This monkey is hella aggressive. It's crazy fast. And, yeah, it's got a big range of moves that'll fuck you up from all sorts of distances. And just when you think you've beaten it, you cut off its fucking head with its own big stupid sword, it gets back up. It grabs its decapitated head, and now you're fighting a headless monkey. And Jesus Christ, that is just out freaking standing. Now, the second half of the fight, nowhere near as fun as the first half. The only thing that sucks about it is that big scream that it does. And you gotta run away from the scream. It does it all the time. Like, I swear, like, every other move, it's doing the scream. And I just run as far away as possible and then get back into the fight. This was a tough one. This was a very hard fight. You got to be very dialed in. It's long, and the second half is really, I found it's all about the counters. You have to get the counters. That's it. You just really got to learn how to counter that thing, and once you beat this fucker, you think it's all over with these monkeys, right? Oh, you've just begun, my friend. You will have to fight 2 of the guardian apes at the same time. Now, it isn't as hard as it sounds, trust me. By the time you get to these guys, you already have the guardian apes' attack patterns memorized. I didn't have that much of a problem with the second ones. I did get pretty lucky, I guess. I know I've read that some people, both the monkeys stay very aggressive when the second one comes in, which is not normal. Usually, with a well-designed gank fight, you're going to have, when the second enemy comes in, one of them's going to be less aggressive, maybe take a back seat, throw an attack here or there, and then the other one's going to be aggressive. You can't have them both being aggressive at the same time. That's just bad design and unfair. But I didn't have that problem with my fight. One stayed aggressive, and the female, the one with the head, she just stayed back there chilling. And yeah, like I said, I already had the attack patterns absolutely memorized by this point, so I didn't have a lot of trouble with the guardian ape, but like, holy shit, that is a lot to ask for out of a player. Now we move on to the next boss. I had to cheese because this bitch was a bitch. And that bitch is Orin, and she is a ghost. She will be just sitting there playing a little guitar, not very well, and you can talk to her. If you talk to her, she'll kill you. If you don't talk to her, she'll kill you. So you're in a bit of a bind right here, and she is tough. Oh my god, really, really tough. I had to cheese her. How I cheesed her was not how the cheese was originally intended for. Now they fixed it, as far as I can tell from the video that I watched. Normally, before the patch, you could jump on her head and aggro her, and you can get a free backstab. Apparently, you can't do that no more. So what I had to do, I just started the fight, brought her over to like a little kind of a little pathway, and got her locked into there, got her squeezed up against a rock where she couldn't move, and I just pummeled her ass until she died. And that's it. That's how I killed Orin, and she can go fuck herself. Moving on. Oh god, speaking of go fuck themselves, the corrupted monk and the true monk. Holy shit, these guys were tough. Oh my god. Corrupted monk. Let's start with that. Really tough. I think it's a girl. I don't know, but she's got crazy long range and these really, really tricky combos to get through. Yeah, man, she was tough, and it's even harder with the true monk. The true monk, it's the same fight, same moveset, but you're in a different area, and the area is what makes this fight super fucking hard for me, because there's this particular tree, and its branch is always getting in my goddamn way, and it completely blocks my vision, and got me killed numerous freaking times during that fight. So I hated fighting the true monk. And you're on this little bridge. It's beautiful. I love that arena that you're fighting in. This gorgeous, like, the leaves and it's beautiful. But this little bridge, I jumped off it like 4 times. I'm like, God fucking damn it. Like, Jesus. Those corrupted monks, man, they were not fucking around. Stupid hard. Now we get to our father. It's the Great Shinobi Owl. Another really fun fight. I enjoyed the hell out of this one. You think this he's not little, but you think this old man is old and tired, maybe retired from fighting? Oh, fuck no. This guy's flying around all over the place with his massive hair, and he's shooting these little smoke bombs at you that'll, like, poison you, or he'll do a whole bunch of bad shit to you, and he's throwing little swords at you. It's a hell of a fight. I really, really enjoyed the owl fight. That was awesome. And this is at the point of the game where I think you can decide the fate of what ending you're gonna get. I think there's 4 endings to the game, hence why you gotta beat the game 4 times to get the platinum, which I really don't think I'm willing to do. But it's against your dad. That's where he's like, hey, do you want to... He basically gives you the ultimatum. It's like, do you stick with your original... It's weird because he's the one that gives you the task to protect the child, and now you're like sworn to the child, and the child's like, okay, we're doing this, and now your dad is like, oh hell no, we don't want him doing that. Come back over here to me and listen to me again. But you're like, but I'm sworn to the child. So you have this big decision that you have to make there. Sadly, at the time that I had that decision, I only had one option, which was to stay with Kuro, whatever the kid's name is, whatever. It's all good. And now we get to probably the most visually appealing fight in the game, and that is the Divine Dragon. Jesus Christ, that is one hell of an epic fight. It's not a hard fight or anything. It's not even all that good of a fight, really, but just epic. You're in like a divine realm at this point, getting very into the game here, and it's just this ginormous Japanese style dragon, like those fucking kind of snaky looking ones, super cool, and it's shooting these lightning bolts at you and big wind things, and you're fucking flying into the air, and that was just a beautiful epic fight right there. Now, not necessarily mechanically fun or anything, but visually unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Oh god, here he comes. So I had a pretty damn hard time with the final boss in this game, and there's a lot of reasons for it. I think anyone to have a really hard time with this game, with this final boss fight, because it's a 4-stage fight, and you are dealing with a lot here, folks. You are dealing with multiple fighting styles. You got spears, you got swords, you got spears and swords at the same time. You got guns, you got lightning, you got bow and arrows. It is fucking crazy. It is a crazy long fight, and you need to be dialed. Like, so dialed in, it is scary. Now, the only boss that gave me this sort of fear for how long of a fight it's going to be and how focused and dialed in I gotta be is the final boss in Dark Souls 3, because that is a multi-stage fight with a whole bunch of different fighting styles, and it's a lot to ask for. Now, this one here is borderline, I think, asking too much. I think they might have went a little bit too far with this one, because Jesus fucking Christ, man, this fight is bananas. Let's try and get into this. So, easily probably took me about 40 tries, multiple hours, and I had to use a strategy that I imagine some people aren't going to be into me using, but I had to do what I had to do, y'all, and I don't even consider this sure, it may be a cheesy way to do it, but I think it is a very viable and legitimate strategy to take down Ishin, the Sword Saint. This fucker is insane, but before you even get to Ishin, you have to fight Genichiro again. So you come out here into that beautiful, iconic flower field with the moon, the full moon, fucking that light shining down on you guys. Beautiful arena. One of the best they've ever made from FromSoft. I hate saying that. From FromSoft. There you go. Beautiful fight. So you take on Genichiro. He fights exactly the same way that you fought him before, except now he's got this new fancy sword that does some fancy moves, and I fucking hated Genichiro's arrow. That arrow was so goddamn annoying. Anytime I wanted to just try and get a little distance to get a fucking heal off, shoots me with that fucking arrow, and it ends it just drove me nuts. So Genichiro, he's just the first part of the fight. He's pretty tricky, and it wasn't to the point that if I used a health gourd on him, I would basically just be like, hey, there's no chance I'm going to get through the fight. I essentially had to be perfect through the first two stages. So, first stage, Genichiro wasn't too bad. I can get through him fairly easily. I knew his patterns very well at this point, and yeah, that part wasn't too bad. Then it gets real. So Genichiro's like, fuck this shit. He summons Ishin from within inside of himself, and Ishin just comes out of his body, comes out in the most prime form that he's ever been. Ishin is this legendary warrior, which you actually meet him in the game. You meet him as a very old man, way, way past his prime, but he fucking gets brought back here in prime fighting form to kick your ass, and holy fuck does he ever kick your ass. So, first stage, I played turtle defense. I played such turtle defense because the first stage was the hardest for me because he's so hard to read. He is so fast and his combos are insane. So all I did, I just ran. I was just running in the field, just running side to side, and I was trying to bait him into doing a certain attack where he would kind of run off to the side and then come into you with a 3 combo attack. And when he finishes the attack, I'd come in and poke him. I'd sit there and poke him. And I would rinse and repeat over and over again until I killed him. So, yeah, a very pathetic, not the funnest way to go through the second phase of this fight, but it was a very reliable way for me to get through the second phase of Ishin without losing all of my health, because for phases 3 and 4, I needed to have my health, because I will get there. But second phase, man, I hated doing it. I hated having to run around waiting for him to do a certain attack, and it still wasn't easy. Like, he can close the gap on you so crazy fast. Like, you have to be in absolute perfect position to hit him with the attack in the perfect time frame that he doesn't block the attack and throw a counter at you, and you have to make sure that you're not too far away and you miss him and you miss your opportunity for an attack. So there was a perfect range you had to be in and a perfect timing. Like, you had to nail it or he is going to hit you, and if he hits you, that's at least half your health bar gone with one hit. So yeah, this guy hits like a fucking truck, and he is fast. Very fast, and almost every combo he does is like a 3-hit combo with like a very varying range of timings. They're very hard to read. And when you can get through that, now he pulls out the big spear. So now he's got this big like scythe spear thing. And this is where my umbrella technique comes in. I use my umbrella because now not only does he have a spear, he's got a fucking weapon. He's got a gun. Like, not a freaking musket, not a single shoot pistol. He's got like a Glock from modern days. Just goes blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what the fuck is that? So this was the point where I was like, gloves off. You're gonna fucking bring a gun to a sword fight. I'm gonna cheese your ass. Now, this, again, I don't think that this is a cheesing way to do it. I think is a very legitimate strategy to take this guy down. So what my strategy was, again, get distance from him and bait him into doing one of two attacks. Rather, he jumps in the air with a spear and he just plows down. You pull out the umbrella, block the attack. He'll then shoot you, block the gun, block the bullets, move to the left. He'll jump into the air and plow down, and then bam, you hit the counter with the umbrella and you do a little slice of damage to his health bar. Rinse and repeat. And it is so intense, man. Like oh my God, man. Like, you're shaking, you're vibrating, you're like 12 minutes into this fight already, the pressure is building, and you make one fucking mistake and like my whole pattern is messed up. Oh my God, man. It took me so many fucking tries to get there. And when I finally get to the fourth stage of the fight, which I think I only made it there like 3 or 4 times, he pulls out the lightning. And the lightning, it's very, very intimidating, but it is essentially copy and paste the third stage, the third phase of the fight. It's the same thing. He still has a spear. It's just every once in a while he'll do an electric attack, which you can actually counter it. You can jump into the lightning bolt and fucking throw it back at him. But when you're that far into the fight, I wasn't risking nothing. I'm like, I'm sticking with my umbrella strategy, and that is it. And I perfected that strategy and finally took down Ishin after numerous hours, numerous just soul-crushing defeats from this guy. This guy, he may be the hardest boss I have ever taken down. He was incredibly hard. Just insanely hard. And it made me bring up the idea of, like, was this, like, I didn't enjoy the fight, not even a little bit. Not a single second of that fight did I enjoy. Because it was just too much. It was so much. The guy has so many attacks. 4 stages. Guns. Lightning. His attacks hit you like like an absolute truck, even if you're fully upgraded. Like, that guy, he was demanding a lot out of the player. You needed a little bit of everything in this fight. Pure skill, dedication, attention to detail, fucking composure, luck. You need a lot of luck. Oh my God. So, fighting Ishin, like, even after me beating him, when you beat a boss like that and you've done it so many times, you feel like, all right, I could probably take him down anytime. With Ishin, I don't know, man. That guy is insane. A fight that I really don't want to ever have to do again. It was just too long, too hard, and just not that enjoyable for me. Now, other people might love it, and the people that fought him the way that he was probably intended to fight, where you go up to him and you learn his attack swings and you learn how to counter all those attacks, then yeah, it probably is a lot of fun, but I couldn't fucking dedicate that amount of time to learning all of his attack patterns. I found something that would limit his attacks to around 5 or 6 different attacks, which made it a lot easier for me to digest this guy, because I think he's unfair, honestly. I think he's too much, but I got through him, finally, but there's still more, man. There's still more bosses, and there's another one. The Demon of Hatred. Now, I cheesed this guy. Straight up cheesed him, because I didn't want to grind to get the equipment that I needed to fight him properly. Just lazy. I was grinding, and it was taking forever, and I was like, bro, I don't have 2 or 3 hours of grinding in me just to get my ass slaughtered by the Demon of Hatred, so I made him kill himself. I did the cheese where you jump onto the roof. It's a lot harder than it sounds. Some people even say that getting this cheese to work is harder than fighting the actual Demon of Hatred. It was a tricky jump, absolutely. It did take me like 20 minutes to finally get up on that roof, but boy howdy, is it ever worth it to watch the Demon of Hatred fall off of a cliff like that. That shit was fucking hilarious. And I do fully intend to fight the Demon of Hatred properly someday. It's just after that Ishin fight, I was not in the mood. Not in the mood for another fight that was going to take me 30 or 40 tries, numerous hours, probably take a couple of years off my life, and yeah, I really wasn't in the mood for it after Ishin, so I cheesed him. I did try him a few times, honestly. I tried him a handful of times. I got to the second phase once. He's very, very difficult. He is a boss that is probably not made for this game. A lot of people call him a boss straight out of Bloodborne because he is very fast, he is aggressive, and yeah, he's very tough. I found the strategy to beat him. You can beat him with the umbrella and the malcontent whistle. That's the strategy I was going to get, but I am many thousands of sen away from being able to get those upgrades, so yeah, I just really didn't want to do the grind, and we'll see. Maybe I can get there in my second playthrough if I want to do it. We'll see how it goes. I still really enjoy playing Sekiro, and I fucking really enjoyed my time with this game. So let's summarize everything, the things that I liked about this game, the thing I didn't like about this game. We'll give it a score, and we'll send you on your way. So what I didn't like about this game, it does have some minor camera issues. Not too bad, but there are some areas where the camera was causing me to die sometimes. So that's not great, but it is what it is. It's kind of normal for these third-person action games, but it was a problem that I had a couple times. And then the debate of, was this game just pushed too hard in terms of difficulty? I'm on the fence of like more to the no side. I have my argument with Ishin, but I think the rest of the game is very well designed. It just takes it takes practice, and that's what the game is. That's how it was built. It wasn't built for you to walk through every boss on your first try. That's not what these games are about. They're about trial and error and learning patterns and understanding different strategies and what item will work best in these situations and stuff like that. So I think it might be the hardest FromSoft game, especially if you're going to dive into these games. Do not start with Sekiro. For God's sakes, do not start here. This is where you finish. You end with Sekiro, okay, guys out there? If you're going to start somewhere, start Elden Ring, start maybe even Dark Souls. I didn't find Dark Souls very hard at all. I died like twice throughout my playthrough of that game. That's just me, though. Demon Souls it has a lot, like, some of the easiest bosses, but also some of the toughest bosses. So I don't know if Demon Souls is necessarily the best one either. It's got some pretty advanced mechanics in there. I'd probably say, like, Elden Ring, I think by far is going to be the easiest. It gives you a lot of tools to help you out. Sekiro, it gives you tools, but for the most part, it's just you and your blade, and that's kind of something that I like the most about it. It's not this particular magic attack or that perk. It's fucking me and my timing and my blade. That's it. And I really like that simplicity of it. Yes, you can level certain things up and upgrade your attack power, but it's not your typical RPG. I can't even really say that this is an RPG. It has elements of it, but nah, it's not an RPG. It's an action game. But yeah, really, that's all I really had problems with. What I loved the tight, super satisfying gameplay. The sword fighting is incredible. The mechanics for everything work really good. The parry is beyond satisfying. The Makiri counter, when you get it, is awesome. Graphics are incredible. The setting and the atmosphere that they built with this game is excellent. I love all the little touches that they did with Sengoku Japan. There's a lot of love and care and just appreciation thrown into this game. You can tell. Great memorable boss fights, though Ishin is probably too hard, but man, Great Ape, or the Guardian Ape, is going to be one of the greatest bosses ever made. That thing is so fucking cool, so iconic. The voice acting was good, sound design was excellent, the music is also excellent, and though the story, like, as you're going through it, it's cool, it's the lore behind it that is excellent, and you're always got to go to VaatiVidya on YouTube to get those lore stories told to you in a way that is just beautiful. It's fantastic. The lore in this game is awesome. In terms of a score out of 10, I'm going to hit it with A 9 out of 10. This is an amazing video game. I can't recommend it to everybody out there because it is so incredibly hard. But if you're a FromSoft veteran like me, have gone through a handful of these kind of games and you're looking for another challenge, Sekiro will absolutely challenge you. And if it doesn't, you're fucking lying, because there's no way. This game is so hard, but it is very rewarding. Actually, on that topic, I did find that, you know, when you take down a hard boss, I found that satisfaction the lowest in Sekiro. When I finished a really hard boss fight, it was more of a just exhaustion, just like pain. Getting through it was painful. I wasn't getting as much of that satisfaction. I definitely got it out of Ishin when I finally took him down, but it was also like a frustration relief. Like, that shouldn't have been that horrible. That shouldn't have been such a challenge, or like too hard, something like that. There was less satisfaction I got out of Sekiro than I have with previous. Like, Bloodborne is still my pinnacle. That is still my baby. That is the best FromSoft game in my books. Sekiro, I don't know where it falls just yet. I am still not 100% done with it. I still want to go through the second playthrough, because that's where I hear you fall in love with this game, is when you go through it a second time, go through it a third time. Though I don't like when that is a part of the game where it gets better when you beat it, kind of like Starfield. Like, once you put 800 hours in, it gets pretty good. It's like, fuck that, but Sekiro is an amazing game going through. Maybe when I go through it on my second playthrough, it goes up to a 9.5, goes up to a 10. I don't know, but right now, I had enough problems with it. I didn't get the satisfaction out of it that I have from other FromSoft games, so I'm hitting it with a 9, which is nothing to sneeze at. It's still a very high score for a video game, and I love it. I think it's an awesome video game. It's not my favorite FromSoft one, but it's up there. I don't know if it's in contention, but I really liked it. I liked it a lot, and let me know what boss out there beat you up the most. I know I've talked to my buddy at work, and he's had a lot of trouble with Lady Butterfly. She has currently ended his game right there. I'm like, oh yeah, she can definitely do that. So what was the hardest boss for you in Sekiro? For me, it's Ishin without a doubt. It could also maybe go to the Demon of Hatred if I fought him properly, but I just didn't have it in me to do it right now. So Ishin by far was the hardest boss I fought in this game. My favorite one, I think, is still the Guardian Ape. That was just such a fun fight, so cool, so unique. I loved it. I thought that was such a cool fight. But there you go, everybody. That is my very long review of Sekiro. Probably one of the longest gamer episodes I've done in a while, but hopefully you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed playing through Sekiro. It definitely, like I said, might have taken a year or two off of my lifespan, but that's all right. Not a big deal. Whew, all right, so there we go, everybody. Another episode done in terms of what we got going on for the rest of the week on the GX Plus cast. Gonna have a nice, fun wrestling recap for y'all this week. I was at a live show, so I'm gonna have my review on my experiences at that live show this week, so that'll be in there. And in terms of what I want to do next for the GamerCast, I don't have anything locked down just yet, so if you want a versus, if you want a top 10 or top 13 list or something like that, a particular retrospective that you would like me to tackle, just throw it out there. If not, I will let you all know when I figure out what episode I want to do next. And there we go, everybody. Hopefully you're having a good day and everything's going well. Hopefully this podcast helped you get through whatever monotonous task you might be doing today and all that great stuff. You want to help me out with the podcast, make sure you're hitting that like button, hit the review, and follow along with the podcast if you can. There's also a Twitter page where I put up announcements and let you know when the podcasts are out. And if you want to go over to the YouTube channel, I upload all of these podcast episodes over there on the YouTube channel, Gamer GX Videos. You can go over there, subscribe, drop a comment on the episodes, leave a question related to video games, wrestling, hockey, general podcasting questions. It doesn't matter. Drop a comment, and I'll read your question live on the podcast, shout you out, all that good stuff. Be a ton of fun. So there you go, everybody. Another episode down, and we'll be back again soon with some more GX Plus games.